In this Surrey Hills Hall in Sydney, back in 1924, a children's library for underprivileged children in what was then a slum area was established by two sisters, Elsie and Mary Rivet. Their idea expanded into what is now the creative leisure movement, with more than 20 centres around Sydney suburbs and several in the country, available to everybody. They have a small state government grant, but the centres try to be self-supporting. This one at Redfern has to rely on extra support from South Sydney Council. The leisure centres have a philosophy of creative freedom, guided here by multi-talented American Oliver Sublette. How do you manage to cope with so many kids here, all different ages, all doing different things?
Well, first, the staff that's here I think is particularly wonderful, because the people that I have the good fortune to work with are always very sympathetic to the children's needs. But the other thing is, I think the children themselves that come, the young people that come, understand that we've really tried to create an environment where they're allowed to come in and express themselves in many different medias, whether it's paint or clay or drama or puppetry or using a sewing machine or cooking or whatever, and that it's really there for them to explore and experiment in. And I find now that the more often the children come, the more they respect that space, and from that respect that comes from them, they kind of have self-discipline. We have one rule, and that is that we fundamentally don't do anything that disturbs anybody else's work. Well, I think the more a child feels confident in themselves as they move about, the more confident they're going to feel in their relationships with everyone else that they're involved with. I mean, if I get a child coming in who doesn't speak English right away, there's always some child in the place who will take that child on a tour and say, look, this is the woodworking area, and you can do this and you can do that. Because children fundamentally are the same the world over, whatever language they speak. And if you're providing for them a place to explore that uniqueness that they have together, then I think there's no problem about communication.
What other kind of things do you do besides make ghosts for haunted houses?
Put on puppet plays, make puppets, do clay work, painting, do all kinds of things.
Do you live close by here?
Yeah, just down the road.
Do you do this kind of thing at home?
Got no chance to.
Why?
Because got no staff.
What do you like about coming to the centre here?
Painting.
Do you do other activities too?
Sometimes I just draw, and sometimes I work with the clay and make puppets show up and things.
Do you have much opportunity to do that kind of thing at home?
No.
What are you doing here? A bit of a community effort, is it?
Yes, it started out as one-person painting, but he's getting all sorts of advice, so we all got into it.
You've been coming here long?
Oh, yeah, off and on since December, mainly involved with the puppets. Parents that are really involved, but most of the parents, I don't think, know really what's going on. I mean, I think most of them think that we're, sort of like child minders.
I've been involved with the Creative Leisure Centre up here since Oliver arrived, and my son and I compete for a position at the place. He's only 4, but I find as much activity here, and the rocket ship's going to be used in our next production. That's the production of Cinderzella.
Cinderzella, which is going to be a modern version of Cinderella, and it's going to be new wave, punk rock, and the two ugly sisters are scullery maids, and Cinderzella...
Bruce Barrett, chairman of trustees of the Creative Leisure Movement, attended the Clovelly Centre when he was 9 years old. There he developed a special interest in puppetry.
I kept up my interest in puppetry and continued to go to that centre, being more involved in other activities as well in the centre, right through my teenage years. And after training, I went back and worked in the centres for the movement.
How has it affected your job as an art teacher? Do you think it's been an influence?
Oh, I think it has, yes. I went into teaching at schools much later, and I think the experiences that I had as a person working with children in the centres and the freer approach than normal art teaching approaches have today have provided me, I guess, with a very good background for working with children.
What about in your own life? Has the influence been there too?
Well, I guess what it did was to give me the opportunity to be a happy child, which I valued. and to follow the activities which I particularly liked. And now as an adult, I guess what I seek to do is to give back some of the enthusiasm and some of the happiness, I guess, which I received from the centres I worked in.
Hello there. I am the biggest caterpillar in the world, and I eat aunties.
Hi, I'm Pinocchio, and this is my twin brother here. Pinocchio, he always tells lies.
I think with the restrictions that many schools place upon children and the time they spend in school care, I think centres like this enable children to be themselves.
It is not only children who can be themselves at a creative leisure centre.
It gives you a lot of space, which is really hard to get.
Can I paint that?
Flats are so small.
Can I paint that?
Yeah, well, I got to put it on first.
You feel as though you can make a mess.
Activities are available for all age groups. The range of activities depending entirely on the interests of the people attending. Some come to learn, others to pass on their knowledge. As a professional artist, why do you bother coming to a class like this?
Give someone else a bit of guidance that they might not otherwise have been interested in.
Where did you learn to do this beautiful work?
Well, I learned in Portugal when I was young.
Who taught you?
Mommy, my mother used to make too.
Ellie, is it true that I heard you did this in 1 week?
Yes, I'm doing in 1 week a single blanket for a single bed.
Why do you come here? You're obviously an expert.
Yeah, I like to learn as a people to do things, so they can learn it and do it too.
And do you enjoy the company here too?
Yes, that's why I'm coming here. It's lovely to come here.
All these creative leisure centres would welcome more members. At a small cost of 20 cents a time for children and $1 for adults, it's this money which will keep the centres functioning.